بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So now we're discussing the letter fa, the particle fa. Quite simple, very easy, nothing too difficult. What is it in Nahwa? So what we're saying here, that the particle fa, what we do in Kubra and Al-Wusta is for ta'qib. So al-fa'u lit-ta'qib ma al-wasl. What does this mean? When you have a particle fa, if you have two mufrad, it means that the one before the fa came first, the one after the fa came second, and they came together. I've said ja'a Zaydun fa Amrun. This means that he has to come first and he has to come second. And number two, relative to the verb ja'a, it must come consecutively. Fahimt? You got it? It has to be tartib, one after the other, ta'qib, and then wasl. Do you understand? Now, he doesn't give any example, but he does give an example of the original meaning. He gives that towards the end. And he goes on to say, you have a shart. What's the shart followed by? No, jawabu shart. Correct? Or we call it jaza. So you get the shart, jawabu shart. Which comes first? Shart comes first, and jawabu shart comes second. So normally there's no fa between the shart and jawabu shart, but when there is a reason to bring up harf, which harf do you bring? Fa. Why? Because fa makes more sense, because fa is to show ta'qib. Yes, so that's the reason fa comes in the jawab when there's a need for a particle. Normally, man ya'mal su'an yujza bih, there's no particle. But when there is a need for a particle, grammatically, the fa is the most logical. Fahim? Because it's ta'qib. You understand? And he gives examples of this first, I think, and then he goes on first, then he goes on examples of this. Okay, example number one. قال أصحابنا إذا قال, if a person says بئت منك هذا الأب بألف. What does the first person say? بئت. Remember بئت, even though it's فعل ماضي, it's for insha, isn't it? I offered, I am selling this. Remember? So it's فعل ماضي, but it means here, I am selling. I am selling, I am offering to sell this to you. So I am offering to sell this slave to you for how much? 1,000 dirhams or dinars. And the other says فهو حر. What the other one said? فهو حر. So what does fa mean? Ta'qib. So that means that this fa, that this فهو, the hurrun part came after the transaction, after the bit. Now how can you free somebody if you own him? So remember dalatun nas, iqtida'un nas. So iqtida'un nas فهو حر. What do you mean what? اقتضاء وثابت. قبلته ثم أحررته فهو حر. So if the person, I'm offering you to sell this slave for 1,000, the person says فهو حر. That would mean اقتضاء, we do isma of what's قبول. Then what happens? What becomes tam? The bayt becomes tam. Then he becomes free, because fa for ta'qib, which means the fa comes after the bayt. يكون ذلك قبولا. This is all spelled wrong. قبولا للبيع اقتضاء. We would say via اقتضاء النص. We would say اقتضاء, because of اقتضاء النص, the قبول ثابت, and then after that becomes ويثبت الإتق منه عقيب البيع. And after the bayt, what comes about? إتق. However, if you say لو قال وهو حر أو هو حر, so he says وهو حر, or he says هو حر. He's one of these two words. Now there's no fa. So he said, I want to sell this to you. He said وهو حر. So wa is the isti'naf. It's a new sentence. So we will say here, it's a raddan lil bay. It would mean as if he's saying, how can I buy him? He's free. Or huwa hurrun, he's free. Because this is basically, there's no fa in here. Fa shows ta'qib, which means that this comes after the offer to bay. And when you hear wow, it's isti'naf. So it is not linked to the offer. You understand? So if you have fa, he'll be free, and if he says wow, he will not be free. He will be free after iqtida and we do qabul. And in wow, we would say nothing happens in here. Understood? Yes, everybody following online? Example number two. If we وَإِذَا قَالَ لِلْخَيَّاطِ, if a person says to the tailor, انظر إلى هذا الثوب, have a look at this cloth for me. أَيَكْفِينِي قَمِيصًا, is it enough to be a shirt? Is it enough to be a thawb? Is it enough to be a trousers? Whatever he says, qamis is a shirt. فَنَظَرَ فَقَالَ نَعَمْ. So he has to look at it, he says yes, it'll do. Yes? Are you following? فقال صاحب الثوب, then the first person, صاحب الثوب, this is this person. He said, okay, you have said to me, it's sufficient. فاقطعه. فاقطعه. Okay, so cut it and then make it into a shirt. فقطعه. What does the tailor do? He cuts it, like he starts making the. Then what happens? فإذا هو لا يكفيه. Then he realizes, oops, the cloth is too short. You understand what's happening here? So I take a cloth to the tailor and I said, here, look, here's a piece of cloth 2 meters long or 3 meters long, 5 meters long. Can you make me a thawb? Is this enough? He says, yes. I said, okay, it's this plain cloth. He starts cutting it. I said, yakfini? He said, nah. I said, faqta'hu. Faqta'hu. Fakhithu. Start cutting it then. But then he realized, oops, I misjudged. What will happen now? كان الخياط ضامنا. The khayyat is ضامن. The khayyat is ضامن. Why? لأنه إنما أمره بالقطع عقيب الكفاية. He said, أيكفيني? فقال نعم. فقال فاقطعه. What does the fa mean? What does the fa mean? تعقيب. Which means that my telling you to cut it is based upon your saying, نعم يكفيني. And you gave me wrong information, therefore you are responsible. You will have to give the compensation for my cloth because you cut it and it's no use to me anymore, it doesn't fit me. And then you can obviously do any agreement or whatever you want. But the thing is that, the duty and the responsibility lies with the صاحب الثوب. بخلافي, it doesn't mean this is the only situation. If there's external contact, etc., you can also become dhamin. But in this situation, he's definitely dhamin. Are you following? In other words, he's dhamin as well. But in this one, for sure, he's dhamin. ما لو قال, if he says اقطعه, he says اقطعه أو وقطعه. In this situation, this wording alone does not make him dhamin. Are you following? If he says اقطعه وقطعه, because the waw does not follow. Are you following? So basically, for him to become dhamin, you have to prove and establish that your command for him to cut is based upon his recommendation of it being sufficient. And the fa proves this. The waw does not prove this. If there's external context, yes, then that's fine. But in terms of fa and the waw, the fa proves this. The waw does not prove this. Yes? Example number 3. وَلَوْ قَالَ بِئْتُ مِنْكَ هَذَا الثَّوْبِ عَشَرَةٍ فَاقْطَعْهُ. He says, بِئْتُ مِنْكَ هَذَا الثَّوْبِ. I am selling you this cloth for 10 dirham. So therefore cut it. فَقَاطَعَهُ وَلَمْ يَكُلْ شَيْئًا كَانَ الْبَيْءُ تَامًا. What happens here? He says, I'm selling this cloth to you for 10. I'm selling it, so he said, I own the cloth. Yes? And I'm saying here, I'm giving it to you for 10. You can فَقْطَعْهُ, cut it. And if you cut it, what does that mean? That your cutting comes after I made an offer to you, that I'm selling it to you. Are you following? So therefore, what happens now? The bay is tam iqtida'an. Let me give you an easy example. If I say here, look, I'm selling this Coke for, not having Coke anymore. I'm selling this bottle of water to you. I'm having this bottle of water for you. Yes? I'm selling to you for £1. So drink it. Fashrabuhu. Yes? So if you drink it, what does that mean? You've accepted my offer to buy it from me. So then the buy is tam iqtida'an. You following? Does that make sense, everybody? Now he's going back to, so in those examples, so basically he mentioned 2 rules, the examples of ta'qib and wasl, and he mentioned examples of adziyah. So now he mentioned the adziyah examples first, now he's going back to which example now? The examples of tarqib and ta'qib. Yes? So now here. وَلَوْ قَالَ إِن دَخَلْتِ هَذِهِ الدَّارِ. If he says, إِن دَخَلْتِ هَذِهِ الدَّارِ, if you enter this house, فَهَذِهِ الدَّارِ, then this house, فَهَذِهِ الدَّارِ. What does fa show? ترتيبا تعقيب. فأنت طالق. So if you enter this house, house 1, then house 2, then you are divorced. فهمت? So what happens when we become divorced? You tell me. Easy answer. What's necessary? She has to enter house 1 first, and then immediately, relative immediate, enter house 2. Let's say, for example, they're 2 miles away. Then the normal time you take to take 2 miles distance, whether by car or walking, within that time frame she enters the other house, then what will happen? Talaq. فَشَرْطُ دُخُولَ الثَّانِيَةِ, to enter the second one after the first one, مُتَّصِلًا بِهِ. I don't know what the highest for, some kind of typo. Yes? That's the condition. Because fa has this meaning. It's supposed to be hatta. The hatta comes here. Yes? حتى لو دخلت الثانية أولا. If she entered the first house first. أو آخرا. Or she enters she enters the first house, she enters this one first. Or she enters the second, لكن بعد مدة. After a long period of time, talaq will not take place. Why not? Because it's not ta'qib. Yes? And here there's no tartib and here there's no ta'qib. Another example. وَقَدْ تَكُونُ الْفَاءُ لِبَيَانِ الْإِلَّةِ. This is the majazi meaning of fa. Sometimes fa is used to show what? Illa, the reason. Example. إِذَا قَالَ لِأَبْدِهِ أَدِّ إِلَيَّ أَلْفًا فَأَنْتَ حُرٌّ. What do you say? أَدِّ إِلَيَّ أَلْفًا. Give me 1,000. فَأَنْتِ حُرٌّ. فَأَنْتَ حُرٌّ. What do you say? كَانَ الْعَبْدُ حُرًّا فِي الْحَالِ وَإِن لَمْ يُؤَدِّي شَيْئًا. The slave will become free immediately, even if he did not pay anything right there and then. Yes? Because in waw haliyah is a shart. Fast for ta'qib and is also for illa. So in here he's saying here, give me 1,000. Now, one possibility, what's haqiqi meaning is ta'qib. Give me 1,000, then you are free. But that's not possible. The haqiqi is not possible. Why? Does the slave own anything? So how can you give him 1,000? Are you following? Yes? So what will happen now? We would say here, in this situation, ta'qib is not possible. The haqiqi meaning is not possible. The haqiqah is not possible. Because the haqiqah is not possible, we go to majaz meaning. Is there shart in here? Shart, jawabu shart. Huh? No. So the jazam is, so the majaz meaning is not jaza, it's not shart and jawabu shart. It's not jawabu shart or it's not jaza. What's the next majazi meaning? Illa. The second majazi meaning is illa. Because you are free, give me 1,000. So for anta hur would mean you are free right now. And this is the illa. This becomes the illa. Because you are free, addi ilayya alfa. Give me 1,000. Give me 1,000. كان العبد حرا في الحال. كان العبد حرا في الحال. Immediately the slave becomes free. وإن لم يؤدي شيئا. Even if he does not give anything. Why? Because anta hur means you are free right now. And therefore, that's illa. So therefore give me 1,000. Does it make sense to everybody? Okay, moving on. ولو قال للحرب انزل فأنت آمن كان آمنا وإن لم ينزل. Again, you're in war. If he says to him, انزل, come down from your fortress. فأنت آمن. What does فأنت آمن mean now? This is the illa. So now he's amin in both situations. If he doesn't come down, what happens? If he doesn't come down, what happens? He's still amin because anta amin is the root. You are amin, so therefore come down. There's no reason for you to be up there. And if it's inzil wa anta amin, that's a shart. Yes? No. He has to learn Arabic as well, not Arabs. No? Yeah? So, you get what I'm saying? So we're saying if you said this statement, then you're not allowed to do anything. He's free. So if you said this to him, inzil fa anta amin, this means your transaction or your offer and your circumstances of peace means that anta amin, he's free right now. Even if he stays in a fort, he's free. He's amin. You cannot. He's now is a civilian. He's not. You can't attack him or you can't. He has a basically there's a treaty between the two of us. Are you following? If you say inzil wa anta amin, what happens then? It's a shart. Example number 8. If a person says, amru imra'ati biyadik fatalliqha. So, what's happening here? This is a tawkeel. That's a tawkeel. Amru imra'ati biyadik. These words make the person the wakil for talaq. And then this is the illa. Yes? What we say here? فَطَلَّقَهَا فِي الْمَجْلِسِ تُلِّقَتْ تَطْلِيقَةً بَائِنًا وَلَا يَكُونُ الثَّانِي تَوْكِيلًا مِتَلَاكٍ غَيْرَ الْأَوَّلِ. What we saying here now? Because fast forward, come afterwards. So my wife's matter, my wife's decision. Let's say for example you have a discussion to say, well, our marriage is not working, what should we do? And so we have all our discussions. Look, we had 2 elder people in the family and we had a discussion and I don't know, you decide. Yes? So it's amru imra'ati biyadik. that the divorce is in your hands, your choice. You can, if you want to give divorce, you can give divorce. I'm not going to give the divorce. What does the wakil do? He does talaq. So if he says فَطَلِّقْهَا, this is what? What kind of alfaz is طَلِّقْهَا? Sarih kinaya. Sarih. What's this? Kinaya. So which one is the tawkil? The first one. So therefore, if he gives talaq, and this is not a new one, this is the illah. He's saying, because my wife's matter is in your hand, divorce her. Are you following? So this is a tawkil. So because of this, talaq will take place. So if the wakil gives talaq, a talaq ba'in will take place because he's using kinaya al-fadh, kinaya words. Do you understand? Do you understand? Fahim? And this talaqaha is, for talaqaha, you won't say fast for ta'qib. It's not a new, it's not like atf. Imra'atu biyadika an talliqha. It's not true. It's just, for talliqha is basically explain the reasons. As if he's saying, فَصَارَ كَأَنَّهُ قَالَ, it is as though he said to her, talliqha, give her talaq because أمرها بيدك أن أمرها بيدك. Do you understand what's happening here? Yes? So because أمر امرأتي بيدك فطلقها. So now this one is sabab, the reason. So therefore, talaq will take place because of this statement, and then this is not a new one. ولو قال, but if he says طلقها فجعلت أمرها بيدك, what happens here? What will happen here? How many talaq will take place? طلقها فجعلت أمرها بيدك. So one talaq will take place, but talaq raj'i, ahsan. فطلقها في المجلس طلقت تطليقة رجعية. Why? Because now طلقها comes before the fa. So this is a tawkil, and this is like a tafsil, clarification, sabab. Yes? So now tawkil takes place because of sari al-fa, so therefore what will happen? Talaq raj'i. And the other part is just basically the sabab, the reason. ولو قال طلقها وجعلت أمرها بيدك. What's going to happen here now? No, وجعلت أمرها, not فجعلت. Two talaq will take place. وطلقها في المجلس طلقت تطليقتين. Two talaqs will take place. Yes. طلقها وجعلت أمرها. Basically he's given him tawkil for two talaq. So he gets talaq, then two talaq will take place. وكذا لو قال, if he says طلقها وأبنها, أبان يبينه, give her talaq ba'in. And he said, أو أبن, this is Ibn, I don't know what this text is. أبنها. What will happen now? فطلقها في المجلس وقعت تطليقتان. Because he's saying, wow is for jama'. And wow don't have sababiyya meaning. So in these examples will happen, two talaq will take place. وعلى هذا قال أصحابنا إذا أعتقت الأمة المنكوحة. If an amma, a slave girl, let's leave this for Monday because it's a bit longer. Okay? Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. So, moving on to the next masla, we have wa ala hadha qala ashabuna. Based on this masla regarding fa, we have the 12th example. What's the 12th example? إذا أعتقت الأمة المنكوحة. We have a slave girl, she's married. She's married to another person. ثبت لها الخيار. When she is freed, she will have khiyar. Meaning she will have the choice whether she wants to keep the marriage in place or whether she wants to nullify the marriage. كان زوجها أبدا أو حرا. Irrespective of whether her husband is a male, her husband is a slave or her husband is free. So according to us, according to Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi and Imam Abu Hanifa, there's a difference of what causes, when a woman is freed, what causes the woman to have a choice. We say it's based on the woman. And Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi says it's based on the husband. This is our dalil. It says here, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in one of the riwayat says, Malakti bud'aki. Now that you have become free, the malika, the owner, the person who owned you. Yes? I think there's a bit more detail before. Yes? Okay, so I think this text is probably. Let's look at the situation here. Okay, let's say the owner. So we're talking about this slave girl, yes? She's a slave girl, okay? And she's owned by this woman, for example. And then she got her married, she's married to the husband. Okay? So now, when a man marries a slave girl, he gets half, everything is half, isn't it? So he gets 1.5 talaq. In a free slave, in a free woman, he gets 3 talaq. And he gets 1.5, but 1.5 wouldn't work, so we round it up to 2. Okay? Now, this Malika decides that she's going to free the slave girl. So when she frees the slave girl, now the milkul raqaba was previously hers. Now by freeing it, it becomes her milkul raqaba, yes? Now when she gets milkul raqaba, she also gets the talaqul thalith. Yes, because when a woman, she's not married and she's a free woman. She's independent, she owns property, she owns everything. And she also has the right to who she can marry, who she gives access to herself. Fine? So she said, well, I'm getting married to so-and-so, which means that I'm now giving access to my body. So therefore, all 3 talaqs, I give it over to you. Now here, when the Malika got her married at the beginning, how many talaqs did she get her married? How many talaqs did she and he end up getting? 2. Now when she is freed, the 3rd talaq goes, who's the owner of the 3rd talaq? Who's the owner of the 3rd talaq? The slave girl. Yes? So because she's the owner of the 3rd talaq, we would say here now, what will happen? She has a choice whether she wants to get a talaq or not. And if you go back, the order is a bit wrong in the slide. If you go back now to this here, the hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to is it Barida or Barira? I think it's that's Barira in yours? Yeah, this text is not sure. The Prophet said, Malakti bud'aki. You have now, because of you becoming free, you now have total control over her access to you. So fakhtari, as a result, choose. Which signifies what? It signifies for illah. So in this hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that your ability to now choose whether you give that 3rd talaq to your husband or not. And if you don't give the 3rd talaq, then everything falls apart. You can't say, oh, I've only got 2 and you can't get married and say, I'm going to give you 2 talaq or 1 talaq. All 3, it goes to everything or nothing. So when that 3rd talaq, either it goes to him or doesn't go to him. If it doesn't go to him, then the nikah becomes void. So the Prophet is saying, you choose whether you want to get that 3rd talaq, and as a result, the whole nikah, as a result of you having full ownership of yourself right now. Are you following? So in here, this is the illah. What does it become? This becomes the illah. So ثبت لها الخيار. We say she will have the khiyar whether her husband is free or not. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Barira, yes, when she was freed, he said, Malakti bud'aki fakhtari. You have gained control over yourself because of you being free. So therefore choose. So choosing becomes because of her ownership. So therefore, what's the depending factor on the nikah being carried? Who has the choice of continuing the nikah? The woman, the amma, the slave girl. When she's free, it's her choice. It doesn't matter if her husband is free or not. When she becomes free, she has a choice whether she wants to carry on the nikah or not. Are you following? أثبت الخيار. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أثبت أي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave khiyar to her. Why? بسبب ملكها بضعها بالعتق. He says, ملكت بضعك, because you have become free. Now you have full ownership over who has access to you. You have ملك البضعة. So therefore now you can choose. وهذا المعنى لا يتفاوت. This idea of her having ownership, this idea of her having ownership of herself, and therefore she has a choice whether she wants to continue marriage or not, doesn't change. لا يتفاوت. It doesn't change whether the husband is free or a slave. Do you understand? So we say here, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah, his opinion is, when there's a slave girl, her nikah has been carried out by the master. When there's a male or female master, and the nikah carried out. So she doesn't have a choice in that. Yes? But as soon as she becomes free, what happens then? She has a choice. And this is the example I gave you before in the chart. Acha. وَيَتَفَرَّعُ مِنْهُ مَسْأَلَةُ اعْتِبَارِ الطَّلَاقِ بِالنِّسَاءِ. And based on this, what we just discussed right now, who has the choice? اعتبار الطلاق بالنساء. We say, we consider the women in the talaq, whether it's 2 or 3, etc. Follow him? So I'm going to go through the text and I'll put in a few zamirs. فَإِنَّ بِذْءَ الْأَمَةِ الْمَنْكُوهَةِ. The right to access, yes, of a slave girl who is married. So you have a mankuha, a slave girl, ama. She is married. The access to her sexually. Who has access to this? The husband. But how many talaq does he have? 2. when the woman is freed, وَلَمْ يَزَلْ أَنْ مِلْكِهِ بِإِتْقِهَا بَقِيَ what right here? أي بقي زوجها أو بقي عند زوجها. Yes, when أي بقي زوجها, she remains a husband. When she's freed, now freeing does not, now who had the two talaqs first? The husband. So being free does not change what? Does not change, she still remains in nikah. لم يزل أي لم ينفك. She's not separated from his عن ملكه بإتقها. The milkul but'a, the right to access, still remains with the husband. Yes? So because of her becoming free, the husband's access to her sexually does not come to an end. However, فَدَعَتِ الزَّرُورَ, the alif means to call. And zarura calls towards this. Meaning, what is necessary? Al-qawl. So zarura calls to saying this. So we must say. We must say. Zarura needs, calls us to say the following statement. Translate it as what? We need to say, we must say, بِإِزْدِيَادِ الْمِلْكِ بِإِتْقِهَا. How is the milk increasing? From 2 talaq to 3 talaq. When she's free now, she's a free woman. So now it's not only 2 talaq, it's going to be 3 talaq. حَتَّى يَثْبُتُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ فِي الزِّيَادَةِ. Now what's going to happen? The husband is going to get now more access. He's going to have more. And whose choice is to give access in the first place? The wife. But because she was a slave girl, the master can get her married. Now when she's become free, that 3rd talaq is her milk. It's her choice. So because she has her choice, وَيَكُونُ ذَلِكَ سَبًّا لِثُبُوتِ الْإِخْتِيَارِ لَهَا. Now she got a choice whether I want to give you that 3rd talaq or not. If she gives the 3rd talaq, then she has the full, then she remains in a marriage and the marriage stays as it is. If she says no, then nikah comes to an end and the other 2 also collapse. Because you can't have half the nikah and not the other half. Are you following? Achha. وَازْدِيَادُ مِلْكِ الْبُضْعِ بِإِتْقِهَا مَعْنَى مَسْأَلَةِ اعْتِبَارِ طَلَاقِ بِالنِّسَاءِ. This is the masla. That the milkul bud'a increasing, because the milkul bud'a increasing is the reason the women have their own choice in the nikah in changing. فَيُدَارُ, yudaru means to go around in circle, pivot. You say here, yudaru, will pivot. So the ruling of owning the 3rd talaq, pivots and depends on the wife being free, not the husband being free, as is Imam Ahmad's madhab. So what you say is that when a woman is free, her milk increases, her milkul itq, milkul raqaba, she gets milkul raqaba, and along with this she also gets milkul bud'a. 2 of the 3 talaq are already with the husband because of the nikah, but the 3rd talaq is with her, and she has the choice to give it to him or not. And as a result of this, she will have the choice whether to keep the nikah in place or to nullify and make the nikah null and void. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.